Right, take two, because I mucked up the last one. Okay, good evening ladies, gentlemen and Star Wars fanatics. I think I fixed the shadow problem. Don't hold me to that. Today we're discussing Star Wars Episode 7 and the J.J. Abrams remake. Whether they should be doing them or not. Probably not, basically. That's how this video is probably going to go. But okay, we're going to get into it anyway. After Episode 6, very little... I've got all my notes written down again, and guess what? The last time they were on my iPhone, it was very small. Last time with Batman and Superman, very small. We've got 3 lovely pages of notes to get through. But I've got big handwriting, so hopefully 3 pages isn't as much as it should be. But in the long term, you're probably in for about a 25 half-hour long video. That's how these things tend to go. If I didn't waffle so much, it'd be a lot quicker. Okay, so after Episode 6, very little happens. We have some stuff with Diana Solo and her brother Anakin Jr. Is it Anakin Jr.? Do you say that? They become Sith, and there's a whole sort of battle going on. Anakin becomes Darth Caedus, I believe it is. And he basically is nasty piece of work. So Han and Leia fail utterly to bring up their children. Chewbacca ends on the pointy end of a lightsaber, I think. But while generally for the old characters very little happens, there are an excellent load of books which should be recognised in the films, but I don't think they're well known enough to support an entire film series by themselves. Like, you'll be introducing all these characters people just don't know. And while I think those books are very good and should definitely be referenced, they're not strong enough to be an entire series in their own right. So the most logical course of action would be to have an entirely new set of events pan out across 3 or so episodes that involved the older characters from A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but had us, they should be background. Han, Leia and Luke and such should be involved, but in the background, maybe as mentors to our new characters who should be coming through. Such as Luke as the Grand Master of the Jedi Council, teaching younger Jedi about the Force. But do you really want to see Mark Hamill wielding a lightsaber now? He looks more like Jabba, so probably best not. Tea. Tea, glorious tea. Right. Where was I? Mark Hamill, we don't really, I'm just kidding with you. Okay. Mark Hamill, blimey, my battery's running low. Everything goes wrong. I'm not going to have a single discussion video where something doesn't break. I think that's like a law now. So, don't make it about the old characters. We can reference them, but not have them as the main I'd like to see cameos from them. That's the word I was looking for. One thing I think definitely would be quite a nice thing to see would be the remnants of the Empire. So rogue stormtroopers, the occasional Sith assassin, Kyle Katarn. He'd be a nice person to see, though he's not part of the Empire. I'd like to point that out. He's a Jedi. It'd be nice to see maybe some of those from the Jedi Knight series, the game series. Especially Kyle Katarn, he'd definitely be a cool one to see. But some stormtroopers would be nice. So we want to reference the old characters, talk about the Empire, the struggle to maintain order when the Empire really has maintained order just through a different method, fear. So let's go off that for a second and talk about how it's being made. It's being made mostly with practical effects, which is very nice, because that was one of the problems with the prequels. The Star Wars prequels relied far too heavily upon their lasers and their blasters and their pew-pew. They loved their special effects. They used special effects even when there was no need to. The nice thing is they've said to reporters and interviewees that they're using more practical effects, and hopefully that means they're trying to keep to the original trilogy, because if they can make it look and feel like the original Star Wars trilogy, I think I can forgive them for, being a bit stupid. And the director is J.J. Abrams, who a lot of people are saying, oh, can he do it? Is he good enough? I think he could be. He's a good director. I mean, I enjoyed the Star Trek reboot. I watched both films quite recently before making this video. I have no issues with J.J. Abrams making the film. It's just Star Trek looks like Mass Effect. That's all he's done. Lens flares. But if you... Oh, blimey, I've just spilt a load of tea on my shirt. That was stupid of me. Oh well, I'm wearing thermals underneath. I'll have to put it in the wash. Oh well. But if J.J. Abrams does muck everything up and it's even worse than the prequels, I declare him Jar Jar Abrams. He will be known as Jar Jar Abrams forevermore. Supporting Mr. J, Disney, who are a loose cannon, to put it politely. Some of their films have been very good. For example, they had a hand within the Avengers. But stuff like John Carter, not so great. Big no-no. But let's face it, they're setting all of this in the wrong era. Completely the wrong timeline. If they want to do a proper Star Wars trilogy and don't want to make it like the prequels, bring on the Old Republic. You know, that's just the they've got so much stuff they could do with the Old Republic. So many new characters they could bring in, fan favourites, which I'll be getting onto in a second. So make a trilogy based in the Old Republic. Start with a film about the most badass person in all of Star Wars, Revan. But set it after KOTOR. Don't just make a film about the game KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. Use the book by Drew Kardashian? I don't know how to say his name. But there is a book which is set after the game and the second game and explores him trying to recapture his past and his lost memories. I'm going to have a picture of it up here. If you like Star Wars and you like books, read this book. It's got Revan in it and it is fantastic. I should have a copy with it. I've got to bring it downstairs. But the thing with that is it brings in the Sith Empire, the original Sith Empire, with the original Sith Emperor, Lord Vietate from Nathema, and it explains his background, which is so cool. He devours worlds through the Force. And it also brings in people like Mitra, who is the Jedi Exile, and Darth Nihilus, who is a nasty piece of work, and Lord Scourge, who you actually meet in the game. I said that about the Sith Emperor. So make the first one about Revan, this really badass character, but handle him delicately, because Revan isn't a black and white character, he's grey. He's not good or evil, he uses both sides of the Force to... He's the most straightforward guy, and that makes him so complex. I'm trying to rush this a little bit, because I see my battery and my camera's just gone red. The second film should be set later, about 300 years later. It is set in the book Darth Malgus, Fall of the Republic. It's something like that. I can't remember the name. Again, I've got it upstairs. Can't remember what it's called. And this is pre-war, the war between the Old Republic and the Sith Empire, which is where the game Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO is based. It's before that, and it talks about Darth Malgus, and you get a real sense of his deep hatred for the Republic, and his need for war. He's had this vision on Korriban of a world in flames, and that's all he wants to achieve, and he will cut down anyone who gets in his way to accomplish that. And there's no set hero in that book. You have a woman called Ira who is a member of the Jedi Order, but she goes, rogue and my battery's flashing, so blah, 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 end up, and then the last film should be based off the story of the Jedi Knight in the game MMO. It's based where he starts off a Padawan and ends up defeating the Sith Emperor. Things I would change to make the second and third film involve the Jedi Knight would be to have have Revan freed, because he's captured at the end of Revan, have him freed in episode 3 and bring him back. So in summary, episode 7 they should, after the original trilogy, they should introduce new characters, have cameos from the old characters. I trust J.J. Abrams after watching the Star Trek reboot. Hopefully Disney will pull through, but they are setting it in the wrong era. They would be better off making the Old Republic with Revan, pre-war,